There are various apps that you can get on your phone where it will take a photo of you, then apply a filter to make you look older. For the sake of your amusement, here's what my photo came out as. Now, when you're younger, you're perhaps interested to know what you might look like in the future. However, when approaching old age is a reality, it's perhaps something you'd rather not know. What about for us as the people of God? What will we look like in the future? Well, that's what we're given a glimpse of today. We're towards the end of the book of Revelation. Most of the book is predominantly about the age that we live in, this age between the ascension and final return of Jesus. Having said that, these last two chapters are about what life will be like in the new creation after Jesus has returned in the future. When Jesus returns, he will bring with him the souls of all Christians who have died, and their bodies will be raised up. Any of us who are alive will be joined with them, and we'll all be given a new imperishable body. At that point, the final judgment will happen, and all who don't belong to Jesus will be sent away to hell. But then Jesus will remake this world into a perfect place. Heaven will be brought to earth, joined together in some unbreakable way, and in that new creation, we will live with God forever. In this vision, John is told he will see the bride, which is the complete church joined to Jesus, complete in every way. But what he then sees is the holy city, Jerusalem. The two images are the same, as often happens in Revelation. So the bride and the city here are the same thing, the same entity. And that is to say that this city that John is exploring is us. We are the holy city of God that John is seeing in this part of Revelation. So in that new creation, what will we be like? Not physically, not our appearance, not individually either, but together as God's people, what will we be like? Now, God doesn't tell us everything that we could possibly know, but he tells us what we need to know. So let's have a look at what he tells us through John's vision here in these verses. First thing we see is that we will be complete in quality. They say that if you're looking for the perfect church, if you find one, you should never join it because you'll ruin it. The perfect church doesn't exist in this lifetime. We are weak, we are faulty with all kinds of flaws. Our only quality that we offer is that we have been claimed by Christ and our flaws are overlaid with the perfection that belongs to Jesus. And I'm sure we all feel that, don't we? I know I do. And not by looking around at anyone else, but by looking at myself. In me, I see plenty of inadequacies, ones that I long to be done away with, sins I long to have conquered and left behind. And I'm sure many of you feel similarly. As much as we long to be complete in quality now, so then we will be made perfect, complete in quality. All flaws will then be removed. No more will we feel the guilt of having failed again. No more will we give in to temptation when it comes our way. No more will we want to sin even. Now we see this here in the description of the city. Think of all the precious stones that are throughout this chapter, sparkling like jewels. These foundations that are decorated with jasper and sapphire, the streets of gold that are described as kind of transparent as well. It evokes an amazing place, a wonderful, awe-invoking, perfect and brilliant place. And this is what the bride of Jesus looks like in that final day. Then we see the completeness in quality in terms of our close relationship with God as well. And now at present we sometimes feel a sense of distance from God, don't we? Yet here the city is where God's glory shines. And did you notice in verse 22 that there's no temple in this city because it doesn't need a particular place of worship, because the Lord God Almighty is just there. and able to be worshipped all the time. The sacrificed lamb, Jesus, he's in that city. He's readily available to us. Though we feel distant now from time to time, then we will be closer to God than we ever have been. Now, in production lines, you have your quality control, don't you? Where dodgy, faulty products are taken away and not let out to be sold. In that day, when Jesus returns, when the new creation is remade, our quality will be complete in every way. We will be perfect and we will be with God. Second thing we see is that we will be complete in quantity. Now, one of the good things about having a booking system for church is that you know when everyone is there. You know if you're still waiting for anyone, the latecomers, and you know who you are. On that day, everyone will have finally been brought in. We will know that everyone is there. At the moment, there's still time to book for the new creation. And for you, if you've not yet come to follow Jesus, if you will follow him, well, your place can be reserved as well. But on that day, when the new creation is brought into being, everyone who is supposed to be there will be there. The people of God will be complete in number, in quantity. Now, how do we see that here in this passage? Well, it's in the numbers that are used here. Wherever you see the number 12 being used, it's speaking about the complete people of God, complete in number. Especially when you see it multiplied by itself, making 144, or when it's multiplied by 1,000 to make 12,000, or in its fullest sense, multiplied together and multiplied by 1,000, 144,000, as we have seen in Revelation. And that number 12 is about the complete people of God because of the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles of Christ. So in verse 12 here, you have 12 gates with the 12 tribe names of Israel. In verse 14, you have the foundations, 12 in number, that have the names of the 12 apostles. And then you've got these oversized dimensions. So in verse 16, we're told that this city is square. It's 12,000 stadia in length and width. Now, 12,000 stadia, that's around about 1,400 miles. And if you want a comparison, Great Britain from John O'Groats to Land's End is roughly 550 miles as the crow flies. So this city is almost 3 times the length of Great Britain in width and in length. Not only that, but the height is the same as well. It's really, really tall. This is a ridiculously oversized city. And by the way, in relation to our first point, the part of the temple in the first half of the Bible that was cube-shaped was the part called the Holy of Holies, the most holy part of the temple where God especially made it his dwelling place. And in that detail, we see our greater connection with God in the new creation. We are then the Holy of Holies. Anyway, in order to support the height and the length of this city, the thickness of these walls are 144 cubits. Now, I don't know what an engineer would say about that, whether it would work, but it doesn't matter. 144 cubits, well, again, we're looking at 12 multiplied by 12. Again, marking the completeness in number of God's people who are there. Anyway, this oversizing is to convey that the entire number, vast as it is complete in number. No one is missing. And the final congregation in the new creation is absolutely huge. So everyone is in who was supposed to be in. Everyone whose name is found in the Lamb's Book of Life, as it tells us. Everyone that Jesus died for is there. And it's a vast number that makes up the complete people of God, complete in quantity. Final thing we see is that we will be complete in security. Have a think for just a second. Why did ancient cities have walls? Why did they have walls? Why did they concentrate on having walls? Well, they had them in order to keep the enemy out. The bigger your walls, the greater protection you had. And so for walls, as described here, that are almost 3 times the length of Great Britain in height, that's quite some protection, isn't it? If you were part of this city, if you are part of this city, you're supposed to feel safe and secure. But then it shifts. If the image is to convey security, then along with these high walls, you think, we've got these 12 gates. Surely it's going to describe them as being regularly closed to keep the enemy out. But no, these gates are never shut. And the shift here is that they are never shut because, as verse 25 tells us, there's no nighttime, and so they don't need to be shut. The link between darkness and evil is one that is consistently made in the Bible. And we know that from our own real life experience. Earlier in the year, when we were made aware of the unease that many women feel about going out, most of that unease was to do with being out after dark particularly. And also when we think about thieves, they are more likely to break in at night because it's easier to get away with. So darkness and evil, there is a connection, isn't there? But the darkness here, as representing evil, is expelled from the new creation. The nighttime is no more, and therefore the city gates don't need to be shut. The city is secure if there were a threat because it has these high walls and gates, but there's also never going to be a threat because there's nothing there to threaten it. The nighttime has gone. And just remember in that what has happened to the devil by this point. He has already been thrown into hell. With him, all the means that he uses to attack the followers of Christ, they have gone as well. And all who have refused to come to Christ in this lifetime, all that is aligned with evil, all of it is gone. Though in Eden there was a snake, now the snake has been done away with. In the new creation, there is no threat. There will be no repeat of the fall. There can be nothing to take us away from our secure position in that new creation. Knowing that all this will be the case in the future, how then does that affect the way that we live now? Quite simply, it's by getting ready for it. If we know that we will be qualitatively complete, well, we pursue that quality even now. We work towards the purity with which we will one day be clothed. We adorn ourselves with good works and godly character, knowing that when Jesus comes back, what we will then receive in that moment will far surpass whatever quality is worked in us now. If we know that one day all will be added in who are supposed to be added in, and then the people of God will be quantitatively complete, then we pursue people to be added in now. We share the hope that we have through our lives and through our words. We call people to turn to Jesus and to follow him now. We probably won't be saving thousands or hundreds, maybe not even tens. But if through our efforts 1 or 2 people are added in, how wonderful a thing that is. If we know that one day we will be secure and beyond threat, will we prepare for that now by pursuing security in this lifetime? We do all that we can to keep the devil's influence at bay. We turn from temptation. We make sure we are clear on what is true teaching rather than embracing false teaching. And we resist the temptation that is there to compromise with the world. Now you might think, if when Jesus comes back he'll do a better job, what's the point in trying now? And the reason is that we have been given the Spirit. He lives in us. He moves us to do these things now. And because they are from him and by his power, they are no less real and authentic than they will be when Jesus returns. In fact, they are a small taste of what we will one day experience. And if what we will experience will be absolutely incredible, don't you want a small taste of that now? So keep on growing, keep on loving God, sharing the gospel, resisting the devil. Because when Jesus comes back, then we will be gloriously complete in all of these. Well, let's sing once more of that eternal hope that we have.